Good morning. This is Bill from Auto Europa Naples, and today we've got Marty sneaking in the back door over here. You can see he's eating a donut. We do get those on Friday, so he's come fresh from the gym to load up on sugar and carbs. And there he is. Yeah, not a minute to spare to get the hell out of the way. Okay, well look, I'm miserable today. I really am. I mean, it rained last night here, so you see we've got puddles everywhere. And now it's severe clear, or at least starting to be severe clear. And what that means is that all of these puddles are just going to start baking off. All the moisture in the on the ground is going to go into the air. And I am dripping. I am absolutely dripping. This is now the third car I've done today. I did photos of the first two. This one got photos and now a video. And it's ridiculous. I mean, it's like I jumped in a swimming pool. And I just really can't take much more of this. So I dream of going to Alaska and selling snowmobiles, or maybe Iceland, radar tracking station in the North Atlantic, something where it's eternally cold. And I will be very, very happy there. I am also happy today to have this car. This is a 1995 Jaguar XJS Cabriolet. Cabriolet, of course, being a fancy word for convertible. This may well be the most reliable car of its kind, and I'll get into why in a minute. First of all, just because it's a 95 or 6, but I'll get into why. It's finished in tuxedo black outside, it's got tan inside, it's got a black top, which looks quite nice, and it is a very, very stylish car. Many years ago, in the 20s, a guy named William Lyons invented, well, he didn't invent anything. He started a company called the Swallow Sidecar Company with a friend of his named Walmsley. And the two of them were building sidecars for motorcycles. And then that got into, building coaches for cars. It got into building whole cars. They became the SS Car Company, which frankly didn't work out too well for them after World War II, so they had to change their name. But a company named, what the hell was it, Siddeley, Armstrong Siddeley, something like that. They let them use the name Jaguar. Now, I come under a lot of flack every time I do one of these cars because there's two schools of thought on the name Jaguar. Some people think it's just like the animal, which is pronounced, Jaguar. Other people think it's this big fancy thing called Jaguar. And I'm going to have to just use both names so I can offend everybody instead of just one set of people. So anyway, Lion started making Jaguars and, went on for years and years, became very, very successful with them, created a car called the E-Type. You might remember seeing that one. Started as a 6-cylinder, became a 12-cylinder Grand Tourer, but was widely renowned as being one of the most beautiful cars in the world. In fact, Enzo Ferrari called it one of the most beautiful cars in the world, if not the most beautiful car in the world, which is a pretty high praise from a guy like that. And this poor car here, the XJS, had to replace it. Imagine that. Imagine being the car that has to replace what everybody thinks may be the most beautiful car in the world. So instantly it was beat up, it was brutalized, it was, diminished by people. It wasn't even a convertible when it came out in 1975. It had these sort of weird flying buttress things in the back. It had a big 12-cylinder when nothing else did, and people just tore it apart. But it really did have the last laugh because it ran for 21 years. When it came out, it was truly the last car that Sir William Lyons had anything to do with. Even if he was in his retirement, he sort of added to the car. And it went through British Leyland, it went through the ownership of Ford, and ran again for more than 2 decades. Well, 1 year more than 2 decades, the last being in 1996. It became a convertible, a true convertible in 1998. In 85, they came out with some kind of a cabriolet thing that had all the side windows and pillars on it. It was kind of neat looking, but not really great as a convertible. But you had to wait all the way 13 years into production before the top went fully down. But it was worth the wait. And truly, as a Grand Touring car, it really did quite well. I mean, when other cars were struggling to make 100 miles an hour, this thing would run at 150. That's way back when. They had the big V12, the 4 seats. It had, pretty good-sized gas tank. And, people loved it. They really, well, no, that's not true. They hated it. But eventually they loved it. And even now there are some diehard lunatic masochists who really have to have them. All right, so let me just regroup for a minute, because honestly, I'm just beat. I'm spent already, and it's not even 8 o'clock. Here's why this may be the most reliable XJS out there. We have a local shop in town that specializes in Jaguar. Now, that's a masochist. That is a true, genuine masochist. That this guy, a very good technician, worked for many years for the Jaguar dealership, opened up his own Jaguar shop, and started repairing Jaguars. I mean, that's a guy you have to respect. God help him. But this became one of his personal drivers. He bought it. He loved it. He restored it. Even though he started with a very good one, he, sort of made it even better, and went through every facet of the car over the course of a few years to make it probably what is the best XJS I've ever seen, certainly, and probably one of the best ones out there. I mean, this truly is a car where every little thing has been sorted out on it by a guy who knows how to do it. And if you can start with a better baseline than that, I challenge you to alert me to it. I mean, this guy replaced everything and did it all with incredible knowledge of many, many years of cars that are, about as reliable as the American voter. Anyway, getting into this. So in 1995, this thing had been restyled a few times. They changed the taillights. They changed the engine. It got a big 4-liter 6-cylinder, which of course made it a lot more reliable. Gone was that 12, which was kind of a neat motor, but there's our detailer rolling in. Words don't even express. I have to say, though, thanks to him, I have found a way to get through the day in a way that really helps me, and that's with pills and whiskey. Anyway, by 95, you see these big, wide, modern taillights. They had come in. They'd replaced these weird little arch things on the corners. You see it as big twice pipes down there, even for a 4-liter 6-cylinder, although that's quite big. And anyway, let's just get into this thing. All right, so the trunk is quite big and useful in these cars, even with the full-size spare tire. You can see it's very nicely finished. He had a factory car cover, which is quite nice. There's a set of books there. Everything really lovely inside the trunk, and it's nice and deep. You can fit some golf clubs in there, and all the tools you're ever going to need to keep it running. Everything all very proper there. Have a look under the hood. God, I'm absolutely dripping. Dripping. Oh, God, one of these days. Okay, so you click the thing there and lift up from the back, and that will reveal a very, very attractive and very large dual overhead cam 4-liter 6-cylinder. This is an engine that harkens back to many years of Jaguar production. In fact, they were sort of secretly working on a cousin, earlier, ancestor motor of this during World War II. It puts out, what the hell was it? I have a 200 horsepower, maybe a little bit less, 187, something like that. It's very, very smooth because it's half a 12-cylinder. It's torquey enough to move this car down the road, and it made these cars infinitely more reliable than the ones that came with the 12-cylinders. Now, the 12-cylinders weren't altogether bad, but the problem with them was they had loads of vacuum lines and fuel lines and electrical stuff and things under this tight little hood. The heat would build up and just melt everything, and it was almost like they had designed the engine to be unreliable. I mean, wires were running through places that would obviously burn them up. You could just see the horror of British Leyland build quality in this thing in the earlier models, and it took them many, many years to sort out. I imagine when Ford looked under the hood, they were horrified. But look at this thing, man. You can see that this was tuned by a guy who really knows what he's doing. It's immaculate under there. I would call it show quality. Definitely the best looking engine compartment I've ever seen in one of these things, and it runs fantastically well. And of course, being this masochist, this guy who works on Jaguars for a living, he definitely did it all correctly. To lower this thing, the best way is to just sort of let it come down, rest like that, give it a little click on one side. There you see I'm dripping. I've got actual moisture on the hood. And over to the other side, we'll do the same thing. And that's it. So don't let your friend slam that hood down. It just takes a nice gentle push. Now look at the design of this thing. I mean, it is sleek. It is low slung. You've got this giant, front end on the car, kind of a stubby back end. The big power bump in the middle, those beautiful European headlights. Some people like wire wheels, but I think this particular set of alloys looks gorgeous. It's got four-wheel disc brakes. Thankfully, on this generation, they did move the brakes back out to the corners instead of having them right next to the differential on the inside, because even if that was good for weight and force and whatnot, it made doing brake jobs a real pain in the ass. So if you're going to daily drive one of these cars, don't even think about doing it with anything other than a 91 upward. And if you really want to find the best one out there, just get this one. I mean, I know, okay, it's a little bit self-serving to say so, but if I'm going to buy one of these cars, and I'm not, I do admire the people who keep them going, but God help them, I'm going to buy one that was owned by, a Jaguar technician. All right, so I'm going to remove this soft top cover. We'll put that in the trunk so we can run the top when we get in here. Nice that is still with the car. He did have this car painted, by the way, and spent almost $10,000 doing it. And he told me the paint it had really wasn't that bad. It just had some checkering and whatnot that he just couldn't stand. So another friend of his did, a very high-end paint job on this thing to factory quality. In fact, if not better than factory. All right, let's have a look inside. Okay, here you see beautiful Connelly leather on the seats. Absolutely lovely, nice to the touch, nice low-slung seats. The interior of all Jaguars of this vintage, even if they're fairly large cars dimensionally, the interiors aren't that big. In fact, the rear seats are hilarious. I mean, I don't even know if you're going to get Canadians back there. They're going to be miserable. They're going to hate you. They're going to call you names and maybe even stab you in the neck if they're sitting back there. But, try it anyway. But up front, you will fit a couple of 6-footers up front, but it is a little bit tighter than you'd think for a car of this size. Beautiful little chrome accents everywhere on this car. Still a true Jaguar in that sense, even if it didn't have all the chrome of the E-Type at the time. By the time this car ran to the end, it had more chrome than most other cars out there. Lovely little wood inlays. This did get power seats in this generation of Jag. They needed to do that to keep up with Mercedes and other companies, and all very nicely appointed, like the big chrome skid plates on the side there. Okay, so gone is that early British Leyland instrument cluster that was, quite cheap, and in came this rather nice Burlwood setup that, looks well and keeps working. So get my seatbelt on and get some blessed air conditioning going. The hell with the seatbelt. I'm getting out in a minute to show you the top. So let's get the AC on, for the love of God, before I completely melt. Okay, here you can see a very nicely laid out instrument cluster. You've got your tach, you've got your, that's too loud. You got your tach, you got your speedo, you got your voltmeter, your oil pressure, your water temp, your fuel, everything you need. Just 65,000 miles on the clock. This is laid enough. It has dual airbags. We've got an airbag here, an airbag there, and that's nice. Again, it's a car that was designed in the 60s and looks very collectible, but does have ABS brakes and airbags, so it's a nice modern, safety-minded collectible. All the electronics in this car are working properly, again, partially because it's a late XJS and partially because of who owned it. I bet even the horn works. Never tried it. Look at that. Works fine. Wipers, I'm not going to do while it's dry, but I bet they work. The seat, yep, moving forward, moving back. Even the lumbar's working, so God bless. That's fantastic. Anyway, you can see everything beautifully laid out in this sort of modern dashboard. The Burlwood cluster is quite neat. You got your vents, you got your airbag over there. This thing's called a ski slope, this wood here. You can see the condition of the lumbar is fantastic. Lovely wood shift knob as well, your dual ashtrays. This car really accommodates the smokers. You've got your cruise control. And let's run the roof. Now, to do that, You get your e-brake on. Now you see when you put it on, it goes right back down. The reason they do that is so you don't catch your pant leg on it when you're getting out and rip it and get embarrassed in front of the valet parker. But you have to remember it's on. Fortunately, they do give you a little light there for that. But with it on, I could press the roof button, and you can see up comes this rather well-designed soft top. Goes very neatly into place, very simple, nice easy mechanism. Release that guy. This is all easier to do one-handed, but you got to get that little hook in the hole and push up on that. Locks into place. Do the same on the other side. Very nice. Run the windows up. You can see those rear windows came up automatically with the top. I'm going to turn off the e-brake while I'm thinking about it. And now we have the soft top in place. And you can see very, very handsome like that. I like it with the black top. Some of them were tan, which doesn't look nice, but tan just doesn't wear as well. And black may even be a little bit classier. You've got a glass rear window with defrost, nice stuff, and all in mint original condition. So very, very nice soft top setup in this car. Chrome door handles. The car's just so pretty. And you know, truly, compared to a Mercedes 560 SL, these things are an absolute bargain. You know, a 560 SL with these statistics would be up near 30 grand. But because Jaguar suffers from this past reputation, the cars truly don't trade as high as they should. You know what? I'm sure that AC is noisy, and I don't care. It's lovely. It's actually a miracle. It's as cold as it is. Again, a testament to who owned this thing. I like that weird little slicey, knife-looking shifter. You know, this car just has so many styling cues that are unique to it. Nothing else out there like it. Again, you can see that giant long hood with the hump in the middle. Really, really attractive. Kill this guy on a bike here. Giving me a very troubled look, like a serial killer of some sort. No, that's fine. Just make it quick. All right. Driving this car, now again, you know, these can be basket cases, these things, but this one obviously is not. Everything's been absolutely retooled. All the mounts, all the suspension. It is as close to a new XJS as you're ever going to find. And as such, when I drive it, I can understand why people actually bought these things. I mean, there is a lovely smoothness to it, a lovely luxury feel to it that you really didn't get from a Mercedes. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Mercedes felt very luxurious, but it felt like a tank. This feels a lot more delicate and a lot lighter. There you can see that 6, nice smooth shifts. Again, not a rocket ship. I mean, this isn't a super fast car, but it's adequate to move it down the road. And you just feel like somebody in this thing. I mean, I don't know, you feel like a fine English gentleman on his way to the countryside to molest the chambermaid or something. Oh, what a nice piece. God damn, they don't usually drive this well. The wheel, perfect. The brakes, nice feel. Damn. Yeah, you can tell this guy really, he put the time in on this one. Poor bastard. So there it is. This is a 95 Jaguar XJS Cabriolet. You know, a true bargain collectible. It really, really is. I mean, you shouldn't be able to buy these cars for the money that they're available for, as good as they are, particularly this late generation of them. So, you know, jump on that train. They may well go up higher someday. They may not. Who knows? But even so, I don't think you're going to lose a dime if you get a nice one like this and sell it in a few years. If you have an interest, give us a call, 239-298-8000, on the web at aenaples.com. Thank you so much for having a look. We appreciate it. I'm going to go cool off somewhere, and we'll see you with the next one. Take care.